Hello, TheSuffolkRam from Around Nerds. Welcome to my review of Doctor Who Season 11, Episode 4, Arachnids in the UK. If you don't have anything spoiled, please turn off now. So the episode kicks off with this week's main guest star, Chris North, in what we soon learn is a hotel, having a very cryptic conversation with a couple of his advisors, one of his advisors mainly, about strange things going on at the hotel and how she needs to deal with it. And as viewers, we've been brought in the middle of this and we have no idea what's going on and we're thinking, what's strange? Are we going to find out? And it's one of those irritating opening sequences. Later, shortly afterwards, someone walks in who gets promptly sacked to show off what a dick he is. And then we jump to the Doctor returning back to her companions back to Sheffield. A mere half hour after she left. They left. But say goodbye. As is always this moment when the companions go back and they say goodbye. Because it's always useful that, everything but from the very first companion that they land, they accidentally get took off from the TARDIS, and they come back and they decide to stay. And Yasmin offers the Doctor to come in for a cup of tea, which she accepts, which again is not an unusual thing for Doctor. Normally they don't really accept this sort of Doctor 7 Pass don't normally accept those sort of things. They like to just sort of be to themselves. But Jodie Whittaker's Doctor's a bit more of a friendly Doctor. So she accepts the tea, and we meet Jasmine's family, and this sort of kicks off, specifically a missing parcel, kicks off a very B-movie-ish plot, where we encounter, it's not really a major spoiler, spiders. Big, big spiders, all across Sheffield. As you can tell from the title, Arachnids in the UK, that's also where we're heading. If you're arachnophobic, this is going to be an interesting episode to go through. I'm arachnophobic, and there were moments which I sort of like, it's quite struggle with this and so forth, but yeah, it kicks off, and it follows a very B-movie style plot where they have to they eventually find some scientist who's a very good scientist who doesn't seem to quite have trigged what they're doing and their research, and haven't quite linked their research to what's going on. They haven't really trigged that. There's some strange going ons in Sheffield with spiders, and they're doing research on spiders which are affecting spiders. They've not quite tweaked how they might be connected somehow, at least not obviously, which I found a little bit. I thought, come on, you're a scientist, you should be able to figure that one out. Eventually all routes lead to the hotel, and what we then end up with is the usual trapped in a small place and having to deal with a threat type situation. It is a very well paced episode. Overall, I like the episode. Its trouble is, though, it has got some issues where if you think too much about it, it has problems. It's pretty well paced. It's got some interest. The way everything links together is quite nice. The downside is I don't like the ending. I don't like the way the Doctor deals with the threat. It feels very against the way a Doctor would normally deal with threat. It doesn't feel, it left a bit, without spoiling it, the way they decided to deal with it doesn't strike me as a very Doctor Who way to deal with things. It left a bit of a bad taste in the mouth, and almost a cruel taste in the mouth. I had a similar thought last week with the way the bad guy was dealt with in Rosa, and the way that one of the companions dealt with him, and the Doctor was very callous, didn't seem to care. And that felt very anti to a normal Doctor character. So this Doctor does seem a bit more callous in a regard, actually. A bit more, not say cruel in a regard, but a bit more, not quite so, I wouldn't do that. No, that's not right type. Although she says that a couple of times about using weapons, the way she finally deals with this isn't a particularly nice way she deals with it at the end. It sounds actually quite horrible the way it's dealt with at the end. So, and there's also some loose ends left. One of these creatures is trapped somewhere without really too much, and they trapped it there so it couldn't escape, and they'd come back and deal with it later because they didn't want it to escape, so they made sure it wouldn't get out so it wouldn't cause a trail across the rest of Sheffield, and they left it there. And you think to yourself, well, how's that one going to be dealt with? You haven't explained that one. So the ending wasn't very satisfying. If I felt they ripped themselves into a corner, they set themselves up with an idea. They wanted, you could tell, let's do a B movie. They set themselves with the idea, they ripped themselves into the corner, and they thought, how do we deal with this situation? I can't think it out. So, Chibnall was written an ending which I didn't particularly like, if I'm truthfully honest. But overall the episode was pretty darn good, apart from that last little bit at the end. I actually did enjoy the episode, so overall quite a good little episode. So on to the cast and crew. So we're getting to learn a bit more Jodie Whittaker's Doctor's like. Very much a more friendly Doctor in many ways. You know, she I'll have a cup of tea type situation, which is you didn't see so much of in the older Doctors. They were very sort of hands off, or didn't do families, or didn't want to get involved. Very much loners. She seems to be, I'd say, she seems to be craving companionship more than some of the other Doctors have. I think the other ones wouldn't really worry too much. They prefer to have a companion, but I think some of them seem like they wouldn't really worry too much if they didn't. She seems to crave having people around her, which is a different take. Nice to see a different take on Doctor. At least that's how I'm feeling so far. It's nice to see the relationship between Ryan's character and Graham's character developing. You can tell there's definitely events in this episode is all know more about Ryan's background a bit more, and you can definitely see how the relationship between them two is starting to click together, and they're becoming more of a grandparent grandson relationship is starting to develop for the situation. We also have, I'll just go through some of the main guest cast. I won't go through because it's fair few, I won't go through all. Chris North playing the Robinson, the hotel owner. I'll be honest, I saw the press saying, "Oh, Chris North's in tonight's episode. Wow, they've got this big star, Chris North." I'd never heard of him. I didn't know who he was. I had to look him up, and he's been Lord and Sex and the City, and I've never seen either of them, which explains why I've never heard of him. So that's why. And I thought they wanted some big corrupt businessman, so they got an American to play him. Because unfortunately, American media, film, particularly from the sort of 80s and stuff, has sort of developed this sort of stereotype of the American businessman who is an absolute dick, doesn't care about anyone, only cares about making money, doesn't care as long as the job gets done, has no concern about what happens to other people, it's all about money, 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 and their own, and are absolute cowards, or they are all except about their own skin and won't listen to anybody. And that's exactly who Chris North's character is. This is stereotype. He fits the mould perfectly. You couldn't not. You literally. It's exactly how he's written. There's a few characters like that actually who just fit the moulds perfectly how they've been created. You've also got Dr. Jade McIntyre, played by Tanya Fear. She is the scientist I mentioned earlier, who doesn't really seem to a little bit ditzy. You know, they're doing research into these spiders, affects the spiders, and other things happening. She doesn't seem quite see the link. That's not brilliant written. If I come on your scientist, you should pick that up. Really, you should think. I appreciate evidence. Jumping to conclusions, but I think that'd be a very reasonable conclusion to jump to based on what was happening. What was nice though is it was nice to actually have a scientist who was actually able to talk to the Doctor, and the Doctor was listening to him and actually taking information from him, and the scientist was explaining things, talking about things going on, and the Doctor was listening to him and not overruling them, which you see very often. That doesn't matter who your scientist is, the Doctor knows more. You see it so often in Doctor Who episodes, because Doctor's got to be brilliant at everything, he's got to be the scientist who knows everything. It's nice to see an episode where the scientist's like, "Oh, that's what's happening." There was no argument, no debate about it. It's just, "Oh, I'll take that on board." That was nice to see. The other character who appears a lot of it is Nadia, Yasmin's mother, played by... Oh, I didn't write her name down. Let me quickly check who that is. And she's played by Shobna Gulati. I hope I've pronounced that right. Apologies if I haven't. And she's basically Yasmin's mother. To be honest, I found her character very annoying. The way she was written, the way she portrayed herself was like this very... He felt like an overbearing mother who was constantly sort of, "Who is this person? What are you doing with them?" There's bigger things to deal with. There's spiders to deal with. Deal with them first. And she just... I wasn't too keen on her character. She was helpful, but... It was plot, but yeah, I wasn't too keen on her character, unfortunately. Slightly annoying. So on to production. This is another Chris Chibnall episode. I'm not really seeing much of a theme of Chibnall episodes at the moment. They seem very well written. I mean, this is actually it's very well paced, very well written. Has got a few, I feel like, filler scenes in it, but they do have a reason to be there. Actually, that when they first watched, I thought, really, what's that doing in there? Scenes with Graham in his house, I thought that just felt a bit fillerish, but they sort of make sense towards the end. It sort of explains itself towards the end. Yeah, I mean, apart from the fact that it's got sort of made some biggish plot holes in it later on, it's a fairly well written episode. At least I felt it was fairly well written. I mean, special effects wise, the spiders look pretty darn good. They seem to move very nicely. They had a very creepy movement to them. I mean, we could put the last episode that involved spiders in Doctor Who, I think, was the Arachnids. But if you go technically back there, you had Planet the Spiders from John Pertwee era, which were big plasticky things which looked awful. These CGI ones are definitely a lot improved. Well, it's been about 45 years, so you'd hope it improve a bit. It's longer than that, actually. So yeah, I thought the special effects looked good. I like the setting of it, where it was set, the hotel sort of, that sort of closing space. I like the way that was done. So yeah, I thought very well done episode. I like the way it's produced as well. So my final thoughts is, yes, I enjoyed this episode. Apart from a few problems with it, it was enjoyable. It was an enjoyable 50-minute romp story, start, middle, end. You know, it's not going to be taxing your brain, but it's not like last week's sort of more emotional episode, Rosa. It's a bit of I like the fact that they were doing some change. We're having a bit of change each episode. It's a bit of a palate cleanser from the last one. It's what Doctor Who excels at, is being different every single week. And this is a perfect example. It's completely different to last week's episode, and fairly different to the episode before that as well. It's nice how it's jumping its way through, and completely different scenarios. So yeah, really enjoyed the episode. As apart from food, it's got a few little problems here and there, but nothing particularly major. So yeah, good episode overall. So I'm George Ruffing, I'm the TheSuffolkRam. Hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, please help us out and subscribe to our channel. We will hopefully, me and my colleagues who also does our podcast with us, Middlemeister, we're looking to do a video later on in the week where we're going to do a spoilerific review of the 4 episodes so far. We'll go through them all, discuss them, and we won't worry about spoilers. And we're going to give our thoughts on how the series is progressing so far, and our ups and downs of it so far, what we think and how we think it's going to progress later on. So, yeah, really great same episode, so I look forward to seeing that. We're also hoping this weekend we'll be doing a live stream of a horror video game. We're thinking Silent Hill 2, we're not sure, but as it's Halloween, we're going to try over the weekend, do a live, me and one of my other podcast colleagues do a live stream, and we're going to play hopefully Silent Hill 2 from start to finish. So if you've got any interest in that, please look for we'll put an announcement out on the YouTube channel with that details of that on there, and also on our main website rannerds.com. So much for watching up the TheSuffolkRam. I look forward to seeing you on next week's review, where the Doctor goes back into space and we go to some looks like a futuristic hospital type place. Until then, see you later.